Yes, man, me there, your 21st century educator. And today we're going to talk about money. Money, bomba club, money. Poor people governor. Bounty.
None of my see, all of the stuff on me, I got them see them. This one reaching out to all the leaders and media. This is Rodney Price, AK. Poor people governor. When poor people fed up, to your system shake up, you issue gun for whipping the boss. Poor people fed up, to your system shake up, and every day they get to use the door. They are still leader, him and the arranger. We make poor people surrounded by danger. Lion brooch and giant mosquito. So with water we fill with bacteria. We never take a look down on the river and we are up to and see you. Water was get tired. No time be him feel, no come near you. And now the one we claim so she a counselor rap 75% and give it water. Thank God the land know what we are here for. Disconnect me light and shut off me water. To the kings of kings, well me know them shall answer. The Lord of lords, well I am a sponsor. The lion from Judah, them well one counter. The eagle and the bear and the queen and her daughter. Yes, and I see I me know the whole of them offer. But them a go put down in a flames of water. Sister, I see I no take it for no laughter. Poor people fed up. To your system shake up, your issue gun for them big boss. Poor people fed up. To your system shake up, and every day they get a youth fed up. Some lost them roots and forgot them culture. Just study the past, them don't know the future. So them not take the lips and them end up so vulgar. Them don't know Selassie I from Ethiopia. See what's on me man to take me for any joker. That same man make me hold them note. Me no play them casino, me no play them poker. Them plan to destroy me with the pork and chops, yeah. No problem, it's just like a them a rock quarter. Not only granite with a funny piece of scooter. You think them like to see we not them hot carrier. With them hot carrier, I sing them song, yo. Them song your tongue and on them fire and know them. You go hang Popal with a piece of
Chup chup!
Just become me better.
Yo. Flash it! Desiree. What we do?
Technological to make human mechanical. Submissive, robotical. Evil device, video games and satanical. Ways to download and how to install the criminal. Can target practice from home inside living the wall. The system why you in a prison cell. Generating money for them. Suppress the spiritual to the digital. The unnatural fighting against the natural. Computer criminal time and the digital. Cyber war is slavery be digital. Commercial to make it fit to be superficial. Input putting out that signal hypnotical. Expect us not to accept that black is beautiful. Manipulation methodical. Modified mood making fools that's genetical. Spreading into the dark water the medical. Joke suicidal from Dr. Diabolical. Drug addiction pharmaceutical. Generating money for them. Suppress the spiritual to the digital. The unnatural fighting against the natural. Computer criminal time and the digital. Cyber war is slavery be digital. They want suppress the spiritual to the digital. The unnatural fighting against the natural. Computer criminal time and the digital. Cyber war is slavery be digital. Fire hills,
Lightning and thunder.
This is the part of the CD.
Sure.
Where the ones them out there that is intellectually circumcised and morally bankrupt and common-sensically challenged will want to skip this part, yeah. But the people who have sense are going to listen up. When we defend the teacher them, we have to demonstrate for better pay. When we talk for the little taxi man, we are trying hustling. But when we talk for the youth and we are juggle something rasta, just for no go rob and kill a MPM and lick them with button in all them face and them thing the rasta. This is for the downtrodden. You understand, rasta? Here goes.
As many of you sit listening to this CD in the comforts of your homes, a great many of your fellow Jamaicans will be going to bed hungry, not knowing where to find their next meal. We call upon the leaders to have a conscience for the poor, for it is they who have built this great nation, while only you enjoy the benefits. As one of them, and on behalf of them, ladies and gentlemen, please join Twin of Twins for the Sufferers National Anthem. Please rise.
Eternal Father, we have no land, who fi sing the part they are land. No, we no free from them evil powers, but he's a kill innocent youth of ours. On our leaders, them are no defenders, the fuck of them have no love. Justice, truth is gone forever, the fuck of them have no love. For Jamaica, for Jamaicans, the fuck of them have no love. Them say teach us true respect for all, but them not here to get to youth of all. Them taking up in vanity, them money them cherish. If we are we hungry belly, picnic them to perish. On them send us, we are our Father, the Father them have no love.
Join in. This truth is done forever. The dog of them have no love. Feed them youth, yeah. Feed them youth, yeah. The dog of them have no love.
He who stand for nothing fall for anything. So poor people, stand up for this one, yeah.
Yeah, that what I say. So let me try to give you some financial literacy. Yeah. Catch this. People, what is inflation? And how we are feeling the pinch and getting punched and then pinched and punched, and it's not even the first day of the month. On the first day of the month and the second day of the month and the third day of the month, we're getting pinched and we're getting continually punched, and we don't even drink rum punch. So make we talk to them. Supply and demand 101. So if you just have an iPhone, one iPhone, and there's 100 people that is seeking it, the value of that iPhone goes up. That is because the demand outweighs the supply. And if you have 100 iPhones and there is only 10 people seeking it, then the value of that iPhone goes down. That is the laws of supply and demand. That is simply because supply outweighs the demand. Now, if you have £100 and the central bank increases and expands the money supply, what happens to the value of your £100? Likewise, if you just have £100 and the central bank decreases or contracts the money supply, what happens to the value of your monies? The spending power of your money is decreasing as long as the central bank keeps on printing. As long as they keep on printing your money, the value of your spending power is decreasing, if you know that. Now, I want you to hear this thing.
Simply flooded the system with money. Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did. Where does it come from? You simply flooded the system with money. Yes, we did. That's another way to think about it. We did. Where does it come from? Do you just print it? We print it digitally. So we, as a central bank, we have the ability to create money digitally, and we do that by buying treasury bills or bonds or other government guaranteed securities, and that actually increases the money supply.
All right. So out of the horse's mouth, because that man there right there is the current chairman of the Federal Reserve, the bank in the US of A, the central bank for the US of A. And ever since the world wars, the history, you find out that the US dollar is the prevailing dominant currency. All countries, in order to trade with each other, have to convert their currency into the US dollar and then pick up something from the other country using that dollar, right? So here's my country and I have one currency, here's your country, you have another currency. You want to buy stuff on the general market, you have to convert it into the dollar. Now what happens if the dollar is high or the dollar is low? Obviously your spending power and abilities, it goes up. So that way I say. So now come back to this thing. So yesterday you could have bought 10 items, say, for your $100 or pounds. But today you can only purchase 8 items or 5 items or 3 items with that same $100 or pounds. That is one of the wicked aspects of inflation on our personal spending power. Now, did you know that since 1971, when President Nixon detached the US currency from the gold standard, central banks can print money with no real assets backing it? So not only can they print money, but the money that they're printing isn't attached to anything. If you look to the side there, you'll see the clipping of a YouTube video you can go look into to see whether I'm talking nonsense or what. And they're asking, was dropping the gold standard a mistake? Worthless money, see? Now the money that we use, the system that we use is called fiat, F-I-A-T. And fiat currency is basically, you're talking about the pound, you're talking about the euro, you're talking about the dollar, the peso, the ruble, all these currencies, because they are created and sent and distributed from a central bank. They have a title for them, they call them fiat currency. Yeah, just to separate it from, say, a different type of currency. So all our paper money is basically what you call fiat, F-I-A-T currency. Alright? So since the 70s, big controversy when Nixon detached the US currency from the gold standard. France sent warships out to the US to go and get their gold back. People weren't happy that Nixon was thieving all the gold and said that he was doing that in order to stabilize the US economy. I don't want to make this too long, but you can find a video for it on YouTube. So our paper currency, hence fiat, is not a real currency. It is basically a promissory note. Hence you read on it, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of X. Okay, that's all fine and dandy, as long as this ain't happening. Oh no, guess what's happening? So what you need to know now is that your retail banks, so you have your central bank, which is like the Bank of England, or the European Central Bank, or the American Central Bank called the Federal Reserve. Your retail banks now are your Barclays, your Santanders, your NatWest, and all of them, see? Did you know that they can lend out $9 dollars or pounds out of every $10 or pounds that you deposit. So they're told on their mandate that they have to keep one of the currency that you drop in, and they can take the 9 and they can use that money for investing. They only have to save one of your dollars out of the 10. That is what's called fractional reserve banking lending. Now, because banks are making money from lending out your money deposited, and money is out there, it's not in the bank where you put it. If every person went to their bank and asked for their savings, that would in effect be called a bank run, a run on the bank. And simply because they do not have all the capital and the money to return to their depositors, which is you and me, yeah, the bank would collapse. Who remembers what happened to Northern Rock Bank in the UK? That's right. A lot of people lost their entire savings. There's only so much people could get through the door to get their money back from the institution. Right? That collapsed mainly due to speculation in the markets and other economic skullduggeries and pressure, they call it. But in essence, what may I assure you is that there is no money. And just to solidify your financial literacy, I advise that you watch this. It's a little bit lengthy, but it's really worth it. Informational documentary called The Money Masters, for more information on what I'm saying to you. See? A little later, we'll talk about cryptocurrency, namely Bitcoin, and why some are saying that it will become a better store of value than the current fiat currency. One of the main reasons they say this is because Bitcoin has a limited supply. And if you come back to what we was talking about with supply and demand 101, if you have something that has a limited supply, and then you have, and the limited supply is something like 22 million. There's 22 million of them out there, but some of them have been bought up already, so we're not sure exactly how much is left in circulation, but the supply of it is decreasing and the demand for it is increasing, which means that the asset will, in essence, theoretically go up in value, right? Based on the simple laws of supply and demand. But either way, not necessarily telling you run out and go buy Bitcoin, you know. I'm just showing you. Either way, the financial system that we have and the model that we have is undergoing an overhaul, and fiat currency will soon be replaced by central banks' digital currency and digital money. Again, that's another subject and another topic for another day. What I'm dealing with right now, what I want you to see right now, is why we have inflation. Inflation, oh, blasted inflation, man. This thing, yeah, is the bane and the bonding of all of us. So, let me talk about this thing called M1 money supply. Those of you who want to put on your thinking caps right now, let's expand your brain. If your brain hurting little, that's good. That means it's expanding. M1, money supply. I'm going to break it down still, but it's a term. M1 is the money supply that is composed of a currency, demand deposits or other liquid deposits, which includes savings deposits. M1 is the most liquid portions of the money supply because it contains currencies and assets that either are or can be quickly converted to cash. However, they've got a new way of measuring money supply, which is near money and near money which falls under M2 and M3, cannot be converted to currency as quickly. Key takeaway: M1 is a narrow measure of the money supply that includes currency, demand deposits, liquid deposits, and rare, right? It does not include financial assets such as bonds, and M1 is no longer used as a guide for monetary policy in the US due to lack of correlation between it and other economic variables. But either way, they still measure the money supply. Why I'm showing you this is because we're going to talk about the supply of money. Why we're going to talk about the supply of money? Because we come with the receipts, baby. Anything we say, we don't just say it. You see? We have to demonstrate what we're saying so the people can see it for themselves. Now I'm going to come to this historical data, but I just want you to look at a visual, because you know some people are visual, some people are this, that. Now, what the Ross is this? This is the money supply, Federal Reserve. So they're talking about the US, or did I say US is a central bank? So supply, money is M1. We just talked about what M1 is. Now, this is T on the side here, so this is trillions. So let's come across this line here and we say right now we was here at 4 trillion in the money supply, and who wants to guess when this tipping point occurred, when we went from 4 trillion in the US, that is, to 8 trillion, which is double the money supply, from 8 trillion to 12 trillion, which is triple the money supply, from 12 trillion gone past 16 trillion all the way up to Jesus. So it's basically, yeah, 5 times, do your maths, yeah, 5 times what was going. Now we have a steady increase in money supply because through the ages, this is just from 207, you know. So from 207 going forward, we have an increase in the money supply. So if we look around 2008 and we look at the details in there, we will see some spikes along the way. But nothing compares to this. And who can guess? There we are, 2019. It's 2020. Unfortunately, we didn't zoom in right there. But if you come here, that's right around 2020, isn't it? Right? And if you look around there, what does that look like? That looks like around March 2020, if I do rightly say so. So in March 2020, yeah, when they put all of you in a lockdown and thing, and then they started giving you furlough if you was in the UK, or they started to give you what they call them, stimmy checks if you was in the US, or wherever you was, right? That had an economy that the economies just went to their printers. What did we say? What did they do? They went to their printers and they started printing money, right? Now, what happens, who remembers what we just talked about? What happens if you increase the supply of something? Right, that means that your things is decreasing. Now, let's come back to this graph here, see? And we have to actually look at it from the bottom, 2018, all the way up to the top, December 2022. Now, just to confirm what this graph is saying, you have here 3 trillion, what was we saying, right? We're in the trillions, we're in the 3 trillion range coming along, and then all of a sudden, pop goes the weasel, that skullduggerous, scandalous, scummy weasel. And April 30, we was at 4 trillion and a bit. Right, so we've gone from January 2020 where we heard things is started to pop off, Italy, Spain and rare, and then we come round to the UK, and in March, April, by May, they've done this. We've gone to 16 trillion. By the end of the year, right, 16 trillion, you know. This increase in money supply is unprecedented. Where did all of this money go, people? I'll tell you where. It went into the markets. 2021 was an absolutely fantastic year in the markets. From this point forward, it's absolutely amazing in the markets because money had been printed, money was circulated, all the institutions them got the big sums of money and they was able to speculate in the markets and push the prices of stocks and assets off the charts. Tesla went up, this went up, that went up, company this went up, company that went up, and cryptocurrency had its boom year, its boomiest year, where it went from like a 13 grand asset to a 64 grand asset. Lucky for those who got in under 2021. But now, we have to start contracting this money that we was printing. So we've reached a peak. Where do we see a high number here? 20. So in February 2022, which was just the other day, it was just about a year ago. Oh my gosh, what happened last year? The war in Ukraine and thing, right? So the timing of these things is kind of something to look into. I just want to run through this fast because some people might start. So this is where we've reached a peak at 20.7 trillion. Trillion, not billion, trillion. And now we start to see the number decreasing slowly, because we're going through a contraction of the money supply. Now, they come telling us that we've got years of pressure, right, to unwind. Look what little they've done from up until this time. Look, they're trying to contract some of this, you know. Even if they was to get it back there, it would be way above where it should be. Even if they get it back there, it's going to be way above. We've got a little way to go, so I'm just giving you these things visually. We're not all financially literate, but we need to see. So remember, they're talking about M1 supply, M2 supply. Basically, this is chart, visual, just so lay people like you and me can understand what goes up must come boom, right? Because if it goes up and up and up and up and up forever, right, we're going to be in the biggest bubble. We talk about bubbles of bubbles. I just want you to understand, sin. So I ain't really got much more to say. I just wanted to show you the receipts and give you a little lesson about what happens when them people, yeah, decides to turn on the money printer, and now they're trying to control the inflation by raising interest rates, right? They have a couple of tools in their arsenal to contract the money supply, and one of the tools is to raise interest rates, right? And stop people's spending power, purchasing power. And in order to do that, because there's still so much money that's in the circulation, a lot of people didn't spend all the money. They're saying that some people have more savings than they had before because they made a bit of money in the 2021. There was a great resignation where everybody decided, you know, a lot of people en masse decided that, you know what, I ain't going back to work on slavery, you know, and they just figured it out amongst themselves. Now, these central wanksters and fraudsters are trying to figure out how can we get the money back out of the people then. Now, there's a lot in that, too much for this, because we're trying to keep it simple, but just keep this gigantic piece of in your mind, and then go back into the archives and try to find your news channels. And when anybody said, do you think inflation is possibly partly not just to do with supply chain issues where he couldn't get goods and stuff across from everybody because they decided to put a stop in things. Do you think it's possibly to do with the fact that you lot printed so much money? And what happens again if you print 1,000 iPhones, right? And there's 10 people seeking it, the value of the iPhone will go down. So if you have £100, right, and the central bank increases and expands the money supply, what happens to the value of your £100? The spending power of your money is decreasing because they was printing money, and now you're gonna get licked again because the hikes in prices, it's just off the chart, man. You know what? Before we start get depressed and feel suicidal, we could just look to vibes for honor. We're there, your 21st century educator or media people. Watch your pocket, y'all. You hear me?
You have to pay for everything in this society. You have to pay for everything. No equal rights. No justice. No one is safe from the claws of the wicked.
Nobody. But have no fear, you know, because we're there.
The mothers are crying, the children are crying too. So stop all your talking and do what you got to do.
Yeah, this is serious times and serious things and serious times call for serious measures. While they've got us with coughing and sneezing and a tissue, ring of roses, somebody went round the place without their Kleenex, coughed on the Native American Indians and wiped out 80% of their population. They're killing us down here with what? Inflation. Across the nation. And I wonder if it means I'm really going to own nothing and be miserable for life. The Great Reset. That's what them call it, you know. But people, put your shoulder to the wheel. Yeah. While everybody was taking the pee, watching Bojo and his antics, Look what they was doing. Yes man, give thanks, saying? Give thanks, give thanks. In order to build back something, especially build it up in a way they want to, they have to take down something. They have to take down somebody. Don't let it be you, yeah? Because I'm trying not to let it be me. Okay.